Hello. Thank you so much for joining us for the Align podcast, where we talk all things health, wealth, and relationships. I am one of your hosts, Anna Goff, and I'm here with my co host, Molly Rubish. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hello, I'm so glad to be here again. And today we're going to talk about a really sticky, hot topic. And
Mhm.
it's kind of that in between marriage where you feel stuck. It's not really one that is bad enough to leave, but man, it is not good enough to stay. And so many people feel like this. And many, many, many women and men are in a marriage that they don't really like.
hmm Absolutely. And I know that you and I both hear this from people all the time. I know I was in this situation for a really long time, and it's almost something where you shut off a part of yourself and think, I don't need to feel connected. I have my kids and my friends, and, I have this cushy lifestyle, and I have my routine, and maybe you think, "I don't need sex. I don't really care."
Yeah.
Or, I don't know, what are some of the other things that you hear? Because I'm speaking from, like, my experience, but also, like, what I hear from other people. What do you hear?
So many people just say, like, he's not fun or we're so distant. So we feel like roommates. He sits in the basement and drinks all night and watches his sports. And I take care of the kids and we just kind of pass in the halls. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, the thought of intimacy is so far gone that
Right.
it's more even the day to day, they don't even bond or have any sort of connection. And the pain point really lies around women saying like, "But he's not a bad guy. Like, I don't hate him.
Right.
He's not mean. He doesn't abuse me. He hasn't cheated on me. He's not terrible." And so that is a really tough place to be because
Right.
you're right. Like, we're so used to if he was abusive, you can say, "Yeah, I have bruises. I'm out of here."
Mhm.
If there was infidelity, you can say, "See, he cheated. I'm gone." It
Mhm.
it's this, behind the scenes, like, major disconnect, and I talk a lot about
Mhm.
how we kind of grow together, and then
Mhm.
slowly, like, if it's even just 1 degree in opposite
Mhm.
directions, then the degrees get
Right.
further and further and further apart, and it's
Yep.
so hard to bring it back together. It is possible by shifting the degrees 1 degree in the right direction and bringing it
Right.
back, but a lot of times the damage is so far gone that both parties don't really even like who they have become because we evolve as humans. Like,
Right.
we got married young before we were even moms, and
Fully
so we've
grown, fully
yeah,
developed. Yeah.
yeah, where our
Yeah.
prefrontal cortex developed, and so it's unfair to put so much pressure on
Mhm.
the marriage to think that 2 humans in their early 20s fell in love, followed the traditional path, did
Right.
all the check the boxes all the way right, and then they're in their 40s going, "We're strangers." I mean, best
Yeah.
friends grow apart. We
Right.
disconnect from our families. We're not as close with our siblings and our parents like we were when we were children. But yet, the marriage, we put so much pressure on to still
Yeah.
be perfect and just like
Mhm.
these fireworks of love. And it's just unfair and unrealistic.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that we put on our marriage is that our partner is gonna be our everything, that they're
Mhm.
gonna be our entertainment center, they're gonna be the most passionate lover forever, they're gonna be our best friend, they're gonna be our caretaker, they're gonna be the one who's emotionally supportive always, and it kinda goes back to what we talked about the last time, like building out your team. In your life, you're going to have other people, and it's important that you have other people outside of your marriage. It's hard. I think when you have kids, you kind of start to go inward and don't have as many of those friends and things outside of maybe, mommy and me classes or whatever, because you're just trying to survive. But I think it's important to build those people out and to also reduce the expectation of who that partner is for you. And it's okay to have another life outside of just your partner. The other thing that I heard that I thought was so clever and funny, and maybe you'll have to let me know what you think about this, but someone said to me who was going through a divorce, I wish that marriage was like a lease where you could just re up or not every 10 years, where you're
Yeah.
like, I think we've grown apart. I think it's time to just move on. Or, yes, I love you. We're recommitting and moving forward. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, and then maybe you would treat it better if you thought that it was something that needed nurtured.
Hmm.
So often, if we're just like, "Ugh, we're in this, we're in it together." If you knew that it was something that would expire,
Hmm.
maybe you would pour into it in hopes that it stayed.
Hmm.
Maybe it could backfire the other way around, but the reality is we just kind of go in on a whim
Yeah.
without being prepared, without any thought of like, what is this person going to be like in 40 years? We can't even conceptualize that. Like, we haven't even been alive
Right.
or living on our own or paying bills for more than a handful of years.
Hmm.
So there's just so much that goes into a marriage that, yeah, I mean, maybe we should rewrite the laws that it's a 10-year lease.
I think so. I think so. Well, and the other thing is to be stuck with, and in one way, it's like you're being Peter Pan, right? Like you're being stuck in that 25-year-old body.
Mhm.
The expectations of who you were in that 25-year-old
Yeah,
body with that 25-year-old mind, that if that person that you fell in love with is fine with that and they don't grow with you, they can be really disappointed if you are growing, if you are changing and evolving, or you can be very disappointed if they're not. I have somebody that I work with whose husband, they've been together since middle school, and he's an alcoholic. And he actually said to her, "You knew what you were getting when we got married." She was 15 when they got together.
yeah,
And, they're in their 40s now. And she thought that he would change after they had kids, after college, all of that, and it didn't. And
yeah,
so I don't know I don't say there's anyone to blame. Like, obviously, she thought he would grow up, right? He was a kid when they got together, and he didn't have that same expectation. So I think there's a lot societally and religiously and everything, that a lot of pressure on marriage, but not a lot of support about like, other than therapy, about like how to evolve together. What are your expectations and how can you stay on the same page or get to a point where you're like, you know what? We're just different people now, and it's okay if
yeah,
we say, I appreciate you for the time we had together, for our children, for our life. I don't hate you. But for me and the rest of my life, I need something different, and
yeah,
not take that so personally, or like you're destroying your entire world.
right. Well, and often I'll talk to women because they'll come to me asking for marriage advice and or coaching, and they just are so unhappy. And I tell them, you have three doors.
Mhm.
The first door is you stay. You stay exactly how you are. You don't repair the marriage, you don't leave the marriage, you just continue to maybe sleep in separate beds, avoid date night like the plague because you don't want it to
Mhm.
advance. You just go about your motions. You think maybe one day when the kids graduate and leave the home, maybe then I'll file for divorce, but right now I'm going to do nothing. And that is a fine option. That's door number one. That is an option that many people stay in,
Mhm.
and no judgment, because I think many of us stay in that door for a long time until we decide we got to go to one of the other doors.
Mhm.
And door number two is you actually work on your marriage. You say to your spouse, like, this is not working. I want us to go to therapy both together and individually. I do believe that you have to do your individual work because if you and I came to marriage counseling, I would just tell you what was wrong with you. You would tell me what was wrong with me. I need to like heal my stuff,
Mhm.
my inner child, my hurt, my wounds, my resentment, and heal that so then I can present the best version of myself at our couples counseling. And then he can present
Mhm.
his best version of himself, and you work together. door number 2 is hard, and it is involving both people have to do the work. And so
Uh-huh.
that's a tough choice because sometimes the women think, okay, I'll just fix me. I'll listen to this podcast. I'll listen to the Align podcast. I'll read the book. I'll go to
Mhm.
therapy and I'll try to fix it. And that's like half door number 1 and half door number 2, right? Like it's
Right.
in between. So door number 2 is really work on your marriage. And then door number 3 is you leave.
Mhm.
And that's not necessarily easy either, because anybody that says that divorce is the easy way out has never been through a divorce. Divorce is hard and it's a heavy lift, and it involves emotions and money and time and the law. And I mean, it's
Mhm.
heavy,
Mhm.
but it's like short term pain for long term gain. And then
Right.
staying in like door number 1 is like long term pain to
Right.
avoid the short term pain. And so
Mm.
you really have 3 options, and that's the cool thing. You get to choose how your one life goes. Everybody gets to choose, and people who, like, comment on our the men that comment on our posts that
Right.
say, "Oh, women are just never gonna be happy." It's like, no, we want to be happy. We want to be in these marriages
Yeah.
with the father of our children that we
Right.
said yes to. We want
Mhm.
that, but sometimes
Mm.
that's not an option anymore. And
Right.
so if you're listening and you're standing outside of any of the 1-3 doors, it you just have to choose which door you're going through, because standing out on the side, you're like in the cold. You're getting rained
Yep.
on, it's snowing, the elements are getting you. Just pick one and commit to one, and
Right.
you will have less suffering than just like going back and forth trying to figure out which door to enter.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, for a lot of people, they want to exhaust door number 2 before they get to door number 3. And that can sometimes take years or decades, right? Of living in that, like, I want to try to work it. And some sort of what you said, door number 2 and door number 1, maybe she's doing all the work, presenting this to her husband. Please engage. Please do this. Please do the work and help
Mhm.
me help you. And for a lot of people, it takes an explosive incident to push
Yeah.
you out door number 3. And so I often hear from people, well, he cheated, but it's been blah, 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 blah for all of this time, right? Like
Yeah.
this was the issue before. And the cheating was the thing that finally allowed me to walk through door number 3. And it's almost a relief to them to
Mhm.
have something to really like something
Yes.
concrete to blame him for. And I know that was kind of I didn't have a cheating situation, but that was kind of the situation in my marriage where I was like, all right, this is the thing, you know? And it pushed me and it really I think for a lot of people it's not that they're waiting for the shoe to drop. It's that they're all of a sudden the veil is lifted and
Yeah.
they can't unsee or unfeel how they feel. And then that is what finally pushes them to the next step. And having support in going through that next stage is so crucial. No matter what stage you're in, if you're in door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3, you need support because if you stay, you need support on how
Yeah.
to disengage in certain ways and how to save yourself and how to feel good, within your own self and your day-to-day activities and how to kind of decenter him from your life. If you go into door number 2, you're going to need counselors, you're going to need support from family and friends. You may have to unplug or unfriend certain people in order to really lean into your relationship. And if you choose door number 3, you're going to need a whole team of people there, coaches, therapists, lawyers, forensic accountants, all of the things that you may have to face. And then you worry about your children and how will they feel about each of those doors. And I know for a lot of people, they look at if we stay, what am I teaching my kids? If we work on it, maybe we're teaching our kids that you should work on it. And if it doesn't work and you go to door number 3, choosing yourself and your children and what you want them to see a healthy relationship look like can sometimes be gut-wrenchingly painful for a long time because it is painful to see your kids go through that and it does
Yeah.
hurt and you think, am I making the right decision? are they going to be okay? And they're not at the beginning. It's hard. It takes some time to get through that for everybody involved. But with the right tools and with the right support, you can get to the other side of that. And we both are. And it's something that you look back and you think, how was that my life? And you're grateful that you made that choice, knowing that it is painful and hard. And we don't discount that in any way.
My daughter said to me a few months ago, we were having lunch together, and she said, I'm actually kind of glad you and dad got divorced. She goes, I can't imagine that you guys were married. And it's like, I want to say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I didn't
Yeah.
mess you up. But
Right.
the truth is, I am a different person now than
Hmm.
I was in my first marriage. I have evolved so much. I'm so much more like spiritual and light
Hmm.
and airy and peaceful. I'm not as
Hmm.
rigid and white knuckling and as like corporate. And
Hmm.
so because of that, she looks at me and can't understand how we even fit together in the first place,
Yeah.
and it's so I was just talking to a woman before we started recording this, and she's like, I'm like fun. I want to go out and I want to do things and travel and go with groups of friends to Disney World. And she goes, but we can't. Like, he just doesn't want to go anywhere. And he's a Debbie Downer. And he like everybody walks on eggshells around him, and it's so I don't go because I don't want to be the one that brings the Debbie Downer. And she's like, it's so hard because he's not a bad guy. It's just we are such different people.
Hmm.
And that is where like it makes my heart sad because
Hmm.
marriage, we wanted it to last forever. And somebody could listen to this and be like, well, then they're not honoring the vows. And yes,
Right.
I don't take that lightly. I really don't. I do believe that marriage should be something that we take seriously,
Hmm.
but we also can't ruin the rest of our lives and stay
Right.
stuck because of some sort of societal pressure. And
Yeah.
so it's maybe this is the best choice. And some
Yeah.
people do. They're like, it would be easier if he just cheated on me. If I walked in and
Mhm.
saw him all wrapped up in sheets with somebody, then I could be like, I'm out of here. I'm
Yep.
leaving. And
Yeah.
then you be validated in telling your friends and your family.
Yeah.
And people are so afraid of being like the villain and being mean. And
Mhm.
the people who follow us and the people who are listening we're all the same. We're deep
Uh-huh.
empath moms
Mhm.
who are high achieving women who get things done, have checked all the boxes, and we're going, wait a minute, how come I can't fix this? I can fix everything. The PTO
Right.
needs soda, got it. The kids
Done.
need a Halloween costume, made it. Done, done, done. I even impressed myself at the end of the
Mm.
day. And then you're like,
Right.
how come I can't fix the one thing that is supposed to be the most important? And
Mhm.
so I just want our listeners to recognize it's okay if you're in this situation. You're not alone. Anna and I are proof that there is a huge life on the other side of heartache. Your kids will thrive. Your kids will be okay. Your ex actually is going to be just fine too, whether you want him to or
Yeah.
not. He's
Right.
going to be fine.
Right. Right.
And you will too. It's like, it's okay. And so, if you're in that in between, just pick one of the doors, get your support people, get your team, and commit to it. And it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be forever. You don't have to choose door number 1 or 2 forever, but maybe that's the right
Right.
one for you now.
Right. Right. And I think what a shame to dim your light for the rest of your life just to make other people satisfied, right?
Yeah.
So if you are feeling like you are stuck in the middle or you're not sure what door to go through and you need support, you need somebody to talk to, you need some help, we can absolutely do that for you. And it could take some time to come to that conclusion, and that is okay. I don't think anybody jumps to the conclusion that they want to get divorced overnight. It is definitely a slow burn for all of,
Mhm.
for everybody that I talk to. And, it is scary because a lot of people want an explanation. I know Molly and I talk about this a lot. If you lose your spouse in an accident or, they die, people come with casseroles and they don't ask questions. They just provide support. And when you get divorced, people want to know how bad was it? They want validation. They want an explanation and they may come with judgment. And that can be very hard. And that can be the thing that keeps people stuck for a really long time. So knowing that you have that support is really crucial.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I hope that this episode resonated with you guys and you felt just seen and heard. We would love your support on sharing the podcast with somebody that you know, because I'm confident there's a woman in your life that is your friend or your sister that needs to hear this. So pass it along and follow us over on Instagram for more tips on how to navigate the big changes in your life.